Welcome back, everybody, to episode number 228 of Behind the Ears podcast. I am Uncle Danny, just touching in with you guys as we bring you another interview from our live recording of our marathon show for Give Kids the World. Up next, you are going to hear from Randy Jack Ogren, or also referred to as RJ, who is a famous Disney artist. He actually has his own page, which is called RJ Ogren, O-G-R-E-N, and Disney. And that's where he goes live almost every Friday, and he paints these amazing portraits that can be bought through his site. Him and his wife are also fantastic authors, and I have just bought some of their books and cannot wait to read these books. I hope you guys enjoy this interview, and thanks for downloading.
You're listening to the Behind the Ears podcast, because everybody does Disney differently. The Behind the Ears podcast crew would like to thank the following sponsors for their generous support. Hey everybody, it's Mr. Chris, and I got to tell you about Expedition Roasters. Listen, I'm a pretty big coffee drinker, just like a lot of you are, but these people have got coffee right. Their coffees are made from selectively sourced premium and specialty grade Arabica beans. They provide the absolute best flavor and aroma, and select roast even come directly from a single estate farm for a truly perfect cup that is never bitter. They've got awesome Disney-inspired flavors such as Roundhouse Roast, Route 66, Skipper's Brew, Dark Side Roast, Redhead Rum, and one of my favorites, Bob Slitter's Brew. Listen, if you want to have the taste of Disney in every cup, give them a try today. ExpeditionRoasters.com, and Behind the Ears podcast listeners gets an extra 20% off your first order by using the coupon code EARS20. That's right, EARS20. And you can find them over at ExpeditionRoasters.com. Brew your happy place. If you have a little one and you're going to Walt Disney World, you're going to need a stroller. I'll tell you what, KingdomStrollers.com is the place where you want to look into. I'll tell you, I've destroyed my fair share of strollers while at Walt Disney World, and those things are not cheap. But getting something from KingdomStrollers.com, they'll be able to help you pick out the perfect stroller for you. And the nice part is that because they're a Disney preferred provider, they'll be able to drop it off and pick it up right from your Disney resort at no extra charge. So if you don't want to necessarily destroy your stroller in the process and you want to have a great Disney vacation with your little one, contact KingdomStrollers.com and they'll set you right up. That's KingdomStrollers.com.
Without further ado, I'm going to, Mr. Randy here, before I bring him on, I like to call people Mr. and then their first name. It just makes it a little more fun here. I'm going to bring him on right here. I know he goes live almost every week. I've watched a lot of his videos. He's a fantastic artist. Randy, thank you for joining us here. I am Uncle Danny, the man sitting up top. That is Mr. Chris. Thank you for joining us here.
Hey, Chris, I'm glad to be here. I'm in the middle of building shelves today for my art studio. So I just ran upstairs to be in a spot where nobody could hear me, or I couldn't hear cars going by. And here I am, grubby. It's all right.
Oh, it's okay. I think they'll pass.
I don't see any beard there. That's good.
No, it's just all skin, right? Oh man, well, it's a pleasure having you on today. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody where they can follow you and what what Disney stuff you bring to the table.
Okay, well, a lot of people know me as Randy, but I also go by RJ, which I prefer, but that's okay, either one. Hi, Christine. There's one of my followers right there.
For anything else, I have to say, first off, I've been following your work for quite some time, and this conversation that we're having today, I've been wanting to reach out to you for quite some time to have you on the show at a regular show. But Christine kept on pinging me, dude, you gotta get RJ. You gotta get RJ. I'm like, yes, I know, Christine. I'm working on it. I really am. And so,
no, my battery is running low, and I'm on my laptop. Uh-oh. Can you hold for about 3 minutes?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.
No problem. Hey, I know how it goes.
Yeah, we were getting pixelated there. I wasn't even moving on the screen for a few seconds there.
Hey, it was great having RJ.
Hey, and RJ, have a wonderful day.
Just kidding. Hey, listen, how many times have I had, all of a sudden I didn't realize I was running on battery on my camera. Then all of a sudden, whoop, Chris went black. Yeah, it's because Chris forgot to plug the camera back in. Yeah, I know how that goes. Okay, so we'll be right back with him. So yeah, this is actually, so Christine, I've given you your wish, my friend. I really, we do take to heart when people, ask us to try to bring people on, and because those people are important to you, they're important to the Disney community at large, and we'd love to talk to different people. We don't know everybody. This is the first time we're talking with Randy, and I'm really hoping it will not be the last. So we'll just wait here for a minute. This is why we have a little bit of that buffer time, because we don't want to, ruin too much of the timing. But hey, we don't want to rush our conversations as well. And now he's all plugged back in, and
and now I'm out of breath. I had to run down the stairs, through the house, to my studio, and climb through the mess I have in there right now. So, but I'm okay now. Sorry, everybody.
Well, that's okay. If that's the only technical glitch that we have for this part of the conversation, we're really happy.
Oh, okay. Good.
Well, yeah, you can go ahead and I guess restart your introduction and let everybody know, because there's I'm sure there are a number of people that we are introducing you to them for the first time, and we definitely want them to follow you in your social media spots and get to know you a little bit too.
Okay. Well, I'm RJ Ogren, also Randy Jack Ogren, as a lot of people know me. I was very lucky. I was one of the original 4 management audio animatronic artists at Walt Disney World in the 70s. I left there in 1980. And we had a studio behind the attraction It's a Small World. And we had a lot of fun. We pulled a lot of practical jokes. We worked on all the figures. What we did was all the attractions came under the 4 of us. Wow. And we would work on the figures in all those attractions. All the sets came under us, all the props, all the murals in the park. So we do quick fixes. Sometimes we get caught in the shows.
Okay.
Easy stuff. I have a website, which is rjogren.com. And of course, I'm on Facebook with a few groups, and I'm on Twitter, which cracks my whole family up that I'm on Twitter because I just turned 74 last week. So
happy late birthday.
You're never too old for Twitter. And yes, we hope that you had a wonderful birthday.
Yeah, thank you. And of course, my wife worked for Disney too. So we've written books together. We have books out on Disney that you can find on our Facebook pages and our website. And we're writing the 3rd book in the trilogy right now. Okay.
We'll definitely give you a chance to plug those books here in a minute. I want to kind of kick us off with a question. I mean, since you're saying that, you definitely had your hands in the creative side, the presentation side of things. I guess I'm getting tired, so I'm trying to figure out the best way of wording this. Did you start working for Disney as an artist because you were a career artist, or was this something that you kind of started out a little bit different and worked into artistry?
I ended up as an artist out of the most bizarre story ever. I actually I was in the service. I was in Vietnam and everything. When I got out, I went to University of Miami, and I ended up getting a degree in art education. I taught art 1 year in Miami, and then moved to Orlando, my wife and I, with the intent of getting on with Disney. And Disney wouldn't hire us because we both had college degrees. We were overqualified to load people on the attractions. And we tried a few times. Oh, thank you, Christine. But I couldn't get on with them. And anyway, it was that was in 73 to 75. And it was when the other really bad recession hit. And so it ended up finally, I was an artist. I had stuff in galleries in Fort Lauderdale and in Orlando. Well, with the recession, everything went bottom up. It just crashed really bad in Orlando. I couldn't get a job teaching. I couldn't sell paintings. I pretty much couldn't do anything. So I ended up buying this little kit so I could repair vinyl chairs in the hotels and in the restaurants, because the hotels were all going, every hotel off Disney property except for one were in receivership with the banks. So I figured they wouldn't be paying for new pads on convention chairs. They'd be more than happy to pay $1 for, because I was an artist, I could match colors. Hated it.
I could see that. I could see that. Uh-oh.
I think we might have lost him. Let me see if I bump him down and try to bring him back up here. Unfortunately, we have lost RJ for a minute here. Let's see if he can get himself reconnected here. If you head over to his page, he's got him and his wife. He's got books by RJ and Suzanne. They've done Together in a Dream, a unique careers of husband and wife during the early decades of Walt Disney World. They go into a bunch of different stuff. Some of his work is absolutely gorgeous work he has. I was just looking at some of his stuff, and
it's not just art, it's works.
It's one of the kind art.
Yeah.
He really has some amazing stuff. He even has a picture of his studio, and his studio looks absolutely gorgeous. It's paradise. It's honestly some of the pictures I've seen of his paintings and everything. And he does outside of Disney too. I've seen some animal pictures and some old war pictures, and he's got a couple different varieties of things. Let me see. I think we have him back here, and there he is. RJ, thanks for coming back.
I didn't know where I was. So I'm glad to be back.
We were just going over some of the work that we saw on your page. It's rjogren.com. And so let me ask you this. I know you do a lot of live videos. Do you do like custom order stuff? Do you sell any unique pieces that are maybe Disney inspired? How does it work?
All my work I do now is on commission only.
Okay.
I'm booked about 10 to 12 weeks out with paintings. So I have a painting queue. And if anybody is interested, they can message me. It's easiest through Facebook. We can have a conversation. I can give them information. They can tell me what they're looking for, and we can decide if it's something I can do for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You don't run into any copyright infringements or anything along the lines of that?
I try to steer clear of any problems there. I've worked for Disney. I just did some work for Disney just a few years ago.
Oh, okay.
For the Treasures of the Walt Disney Archives in Chicago here, I did a big thing at the Museum of Science and Industry.
Yes, it was an absolutely stunning, I want to call it attraction.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was really cool. I'm in the Chicago area as well. And I'm actually an MSI member. I go there all the time, and their exhibits there are absolutely fabulous, especially with the things that they have done for for Disney itself. In fact, I'll not to go off track, but I know that the Pixar I kind of always want to call it attraction exhibit that's going to be opening up here really soon. I really can't wait for that as well. So
yeah, I'm the same way.
I think it's next. I want to say next week, at least for members. It is. I think next Thursday it might be open for members. I'll have to go take a look.
Nice.
Anyway, but yeah, I saw that exhibit and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, also to answer your question too, that's why I don't do paintings and then sell them online and stuff and everything else. I don't want to get into that. It's more fun to just have people contact me and I do something special for them. And it's a lot of fun that way. But
I might be contact. I got a couple ideas.
I'm doing one right now, a family in the truck in Animal Kingdom.
Oh, that's
Oh,
Of course, I actually, from photos I've taken on the attraction of all the animals that I put together in this whole setting, and it's 30 by 40 inches in size, so it's a big canvas.
oh yeah.
wow.
So
from your experience, working within the parks, this is going to sound like kind of an odd question, but over the years, do you think that the different, either animatronics or other works that you have done that were originally within the parks, do you still see your works within the parks now, or have they subtly changed over the years as the park has been updated?
there's still a lot there that we did, quite a bit in the attractions, Haunted Mansion, Pirates. But as they do change things, some things like, well, Jack Sparrow is in Pirates now. Yeah. And of course they changed the auction scene, and I like some of the changes. I do. I like a lot of the changes. I like the animatronics is much faster and much better than it used to be. So that's always exciting for me. I do get when I go in the park with people, I can't start pointing things out that I see need to be fixed or whatever, because I can ruin the experience. But that comes when we were there, the four of us, our bosses were Waithel Rogers and Mark Davis and Leota Toombs. They would come out from the studios and check on us and go through the attractions with us in the morning, ride the attractions before they were open, to make sure everything was perfect. And it was always supposed to be exactly the same no matter what. So we got very good at doing that. Had some very funny instances with those people. John worked with.
You probably have stories.
What?
I said you must have so many stories from your days back.
Yeah, they're in the books. Suzanne and I wrote alternating chapters. And the first chapter in the first book, Together in Dream, actually is the whole story of how I got the job at Disney, and then actually got them to hire her, because I started out as a monorail pilot, and I was only on monorails 3 months, and all of a sudden I was a management artist and working with Disney legends, and it changed our whole lives. So, but we had a lot of funny times. We had a lot of incredible times. The four of us were at the groundbreaking for Epcot.
Wow.
Out in the middle of the swamp, you couldn't even see the Magic Kingdom from where we were, and they drove us out in like school buses. There was about maybe 100 of us. They had a big platform they had built, and then they had a big, huge, I'm assuming steel disc, the height of Spaceship Earth, and they had a crane holding that up, so it was flat, but it was big and round. And you can see it in pictures and stuff. And, we were there for that. It was pretty phenomenal. And they told us not to bring cameras. And then I look around and other people had cameras. I went, hey, we didn't have cell phones. No cell phones. So I was really bummed.
Oh man, it's like everybody else has a camera but me.
Yeah. And we all had to have hard hats on too. I'm going like, what's going to fall on us? So wait a minute, that big disc.
I was just going to say, it's like, I don't think the hard hat really going to help things if for some reason that big round Spaceship Earth, silhouette of something comes falling this way. Wouldn't it be better if we were just that much further away from it? No, that's
wild.
I was ready to run.
The interesting thing, though, is that you mentioned the groundbreaking for Epcot, and you describe what you saw there about the I'll say assumed silhouette of what Spaceship Earth is. I don't know about you, Danny. I've never seen a picture like that before.
No, I've not.
Usually, you've seen a lot of pictures of Spaceship Earth being put together. That would definitely be a picture to find, just because of how you described it.
Yeah. I found a couple pictures. I also had a picture in one of the eyes and ears that we have, and I knew where we were standing, and I was like, but I can't make us out because it's, we're from a distance. I'm like, I think that's me. Yeah. but there are some pictures of it, and you can see the big disc behind us, or in front of us, actually.
So, like, if during your career at Disney, so if you were also there for the groundbreaking of Epcot, did your work expand into Epcot as well as possibly other, the other parks as well during your career?
I left before Epcot opened, but we had just started training the artists that were going to help work on the Epcot. They actually hired up to 50 artists. They then informed Jane and I that we were going to be leaving our wonderful studio. We loved where we were, and we had a lot of fun. It was a special time. After we all left, it never was like that again. The Disney legends were retiring. It just was different. But they hired all these artists, and they put them in a big warehouse at the back of the property. And that's when I asked Lee, one of the four of us, I says, what's going to happen when Epcot opens? They're going to fire all these people, maybe keep a few for Epcot. He goes, yeah. I says, well, where are Jane and I going to go? And he says, we don't know. And I went, I don't like the sound of that. So I decided, I just walked in the studio one morning and looked around, and I went, no, it's not going to be the same. I did not want to go back to a big warehouse. I wouldn't have the fun I was having with Lee, Tom, and Jane, and the special thing. I mean, every morning we went out to we'd split up and go to different attractions and check things out. And we'd always fight because none of us wanted to go into a small world and listen to the music over and over for 2 hours.
Yes.
But yeah, and we were scuba divers. Yeah, we were scuba divers. But I do have to mention, when Epcot opened, the day after it opened, they fired almost all 50 artists. And artists were calling me up asking if I had work for them because I was still doing stuff. I was designing and building props for some of the live shows at Disney. And I was doing all kinds of crazy. I was doing the parades, the Tangerine Bowl parade, and I got Disney to come into that. And so I was very active even after I left. But it was a special time. And what we did as scuba divers, we were scuba divers because we dove in 20,000 leagues. How many people can say that?
Yeah, that's astonishing.
Yes. And you had to watch your back with the 4 of us.
Oh, I'm sure.
But we had some very funny stories of installing things, and working on that stuff. But we were in 20K a lot because we could. We would go in. We say, okay, anybody want to go swimming tomorrow? Sure. The next morning we'd get there at 6:00 and we'd go swimming for 2 hours. And people would come by and say, you in there again? Yeah, I got to keep an eye on this place. We're just goofing around.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Danny, if 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was still around, I'd be like, I want that job, especially August.
Yes. I was bummed when they took it out. I went, oh, come on. But again, it was a special thing.
It's
absolutely
kind of funny.
Amazing.
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that because it's like, you were bummed. What you say, you were bummed when it was taken out. I get bummed thinking the fact that I missed out on it because it was one of those cases where I don't remember writing it as a kid during my first trip with my parents. And then when I started taking my kids, it was just beyond when it was running and they were getting ready to change things out and so on and so forth.
Too bad.
So it's like, that was one attraction that I missed altogether, as well as Timekeeper. That was the other one that I always wanted to actually go on, but it was always open seasonally, but we always went in the off season. So we never got a chance to see it. I know it seems weird that I think of those two when it comes to attractions that I missed out an opportunity on, but those are the ones that I Dream Flight, I would have loved to have done.
Dream Flight, Eastern Airlines.
Yeah. For some reason,
Yeah. We used to laugh at the end of that ride because the guy would be talking and you hear him go, "You do have wings." So as we came out of the attraction all the time, we were going like, "You do have wings." One of those silly things. But no, we worked on Carousel of Progress, which I love. I've talked to Alice Davis. She wrote the foreword for our first book. And of course, she designed all the costumes for all the attractions at Disneyland, Disney World. And she and I talked about the fact we were always terrified when you went to the turntables on both stage left and right. You had to squeeze through to get into it on the stage side because those things would rotate, and there was a scene on each side of those turntables behind the scrim. Well, the space was like this, and I was always terrified that somebody would turn the attraction on just as I was going in, and those things would flip and wouldn't feel good.
Oh.
And Alice said, "That's what I always felt too."
That's
Okay.
so scary to think about.
Yeah.
I mean,
She has great stories. I got to tell you, Leota came back for 3 weeks at one point. I'd been there about a year, and actually I took Leota's place. Leota Toombs was there to train the other artists when Disney World opened. And then she said, "Okay, they know what they're doing. I want to go back to the studios and work there again." And but they realized at that point they needed 4 artists, and the slot opened up, and I happened to walk into Disney World at exactly the right moment and got very lucky and beat out 13 other very good artists. One of which is the one I trained, Glenn, for Epcot, and he stayed on. Actually, he was one of the ones that did not get fired. He was quite good.
Wow.
Strange stories. And Leota actually tried to feed a gator that was in the Indian village. It's one of the stories in our books.
I gotta get this book now. I there's too many gems in this. I gotta go order one.
Oh, please do. It's a lot of crazy, funny stories.
So to kind of go along with that, because I'm kind of thinking the same thing as Danny. I'm like, yeah, but I think I need to, because these are the kinds of stories that I know Danny and I like to talk about different stories, and those definitely fit. So you actually have, I'm sorry if I get this wrong, but you have 2 books right now.
We have 2 books that Suzanne and I wrote together. We're working on the 3rd book now that will be done by the end of August. And these are all published by Theme Park Press, which publishes quite a few Disney books now, including Marty Sklar's book and Sully Sullivan. We work with him. We actually, one of the stories in the book too is when Bob Matheson went out for a quadruple bypass surgery, and back then, when you did that, they kept you from going back to work for 3 months. So everybody thought it would be really. Took his office. They called us up, had us come up.
Looks like we lost him again.
Did everything to it, and it was funny. It was. There's a story in it. It's very funny.
The more you talk, the more I literally just opened up your website to probably get a book here, because it's absolutely, some of these stories is hilarious, and there's probably so many more just little gems in there that would be fantastic to just sit down and read.
Well, Tom and I almost got attacked by a puma, full grown, in the Jungle Cruise, and we were finishing a 3-week rehab, and the water wasn't back in there yet, so we were standing near the croc. Actually, the picture of me painting the croc is we were right near there, so we were near the entrance to the temple, and I got my back to the temple. I don't know what we were talking about. It was getting close for us to leave for the day, and Tom starts to whisper. He says, "Turn around real slow." I went, "What, is Lee behind me with some water he's going to throw in my face or something?" Because we were always doing that kind of stuff. He goes, "Just turn around and look up." I went, "Okay." And I turned around, looked up, and here's this big cat up on the top of the temple. looking at us. And Tom says, "What do we do?" And I says, "Don't move." And it backed up and went back into the bushes, and we took off running. We got in our golf cart, which was in the loading dock area. You could go through a back way. We were close to that. Jumped in the golf cart. First, we picked up a phone and called security, and within minutes, there were people all over the jungle trying to find the cat. We're thinking, what are they going to do?
I would say, like, that's it. Day off. I'm taking the rest of the day off.
I know.
Dealing with this.
Those boats where they go to work on the boats right off where you load was right behind Main Street. That's where this cat was. And we're driving back on the dirt road to go out the back way and come back in by the castle where our studio was. And Tom says, we're not going fast enough. I says, it won't make any difference. That thing is going to be faster than us.
Absolutely.
Kept looking over our shoulders.
So,
and then when I went home, I drove back out and went toward, as I'm coming toward where eventually they were going to build the Grand Floridian. Here comes the cat out of the woods. So I stopped at the gas station right there and called up. I says, "Cat's back in the woods."
wow.
We didn't end up with lunch that day.
Would you say a lot of these stories are in the book, the Together in the Dream book, or?
They're in both books. They're in Together in a Dream, and the second book is Remembering the Magic. So that's the sequel to it, and this third book will be the continuation. This third one is actually, we've got the title finally, and now I can't think of it. We just came up with the title. Oh, there it is. But
That's amazing.
And then Suzanne has a novel she's written that's also published by Theme Park Press because it's like a modern day fairy tale. It doesn't have anything to do with Disney. And I've got another book that's about the Haunted Mansion and learning how to paint in black light and do all that. And then all the haunted houses I've done over the years and what scares me and contact with real and imagined ghosts. So working on the Queen Mary in Long Beach, working just all kinds of crazy places. Yeah. So that's called The Design of Fear.
Yeah, it's crazy. That's awesome.
And that's got a lot of funny stories. I painted haunted houses with chickens walking around my feet and stuff while I'm trying to paint. Had other animals try to attack me and stuff. It's been a crazy life.
I definitely think that I think people are just getting a small taste of what these books can do, in a sense of providing some of these really awesome stories. So everybody, we'll definitely post some links out to our website for that. Randy, but we're actually coming close to our end of our time here. So here's the question I've been asking everybody up to this point, all of our guests up to this point, and that is this. If you got stuck on a Walt Disney World attraction for 1 hour, what ride would you like to get stuck on?
Oh, Haunted Mansion.
That's two for Haunted Mansion.
Choice. Yeah.
Two for Haunted Mansion. Okay.
Yeah. And I was in Haunted Mansion by myself many times, and it could get pretty spooky.
Yeah, no. I love spooky. There's a line that I don't cross.
No, yeah. I think if I ended up somewhat in that kind of a situation, I'd be like, nope, I don't think so.
And I will tell you this, is that there is a chapter in the first book that is about the bullet holes that were in the glass in the mansion in the ballroom. 2 bullet holes for 2 years, plus then a ball bearing that we think was fired with a slingshot. And then the 4th year, somebody picked something up and threw it at the glass and hit one of the bullet holes and cracked it. And we closed the attraction down immediately. And then they broke all the glass to the bottom of the floor, tossed it out back. They were going to bury it. And Lee, Tom, and I all picked up a piece, and I have a piece here in my studio. So it's that's another story about how we got it all working back together again too.
Well, Randy, what about? No, you're fine. Just go ahead and plug yourself again, where people can find you and everything before we wrap up here.
I'm trying to find myself. And by the way, I go in on Monday to the Veterans Administration. They're going to do cataract surgery on my right eye.
Oh, well, good luck.
Thank you. It's going to be fun painting this next week. And then they do the left eye 2 weeks later. But anyway, yes, my website, like you said, is rjogren.com. That's actually, my wife and I share that site now. But it was easier just to keep the domain as RJ Ogren. And I'm on Facebook. I've got different groups on Facebook you can join, or you can just join me on my regular Facebook page. I have quite a few followers, which is a lot of fun. And every Friday I tried 5 o'clock last couple of weeks doing my video, but I've gone back to 3. So this coming Friday, I will be on at 3 o'clock. And my wife will actually be on with me. We're going to be talking about the new book that we're doing.
Well, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on. We hope to have you on a normal podcast in the near future, so we can have a little bit more time to talk. Well, we thank you once again so much for coming on, and hope you have a wonderful evening.
Well, I have my wife on too. We're a team.
Perfect. Sounds like a plan. Chris will set it up with you, and we'll get that ball rolling. Randy, thank you so much again, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun. Bye, everybody.
Bye. See ya. Wow. That's to talk to someone that actually had their hands deep in the artistry of the parks like that is just something special. That's just really super cool. I was going to say, are you
trying to get the focus?
Yeah, you're looking a little pixelated. That's okay. Oh, no, it's me. Nope. Here it comes.
To show you how much I just enjoyed his stuff, I just ordered both his books.
There you go.
Oh man,
that was good. I like that. Now I'm gonna have to now I'm gonna have to buy books.
I know, but now I have to wait till May 22nd to get my books, which is rough.
May 22nd. That's only like Tuesday.
That's too long, considering the fact I want to read them now.
Oh my gosh! I want an Opa Lopa. I want an Opa Lopa now,
Daddy. I want a squirrel, Daddy. Oh man, absolute pleasure. Cannot wait to get him and his wife on to do a little bit more. So that's going to be a great show.
Absolutely. I'm really glad. I mean, just let everybody know how cool of a person RJ is. I sent him a message yesterday, and I basically introduced myself. And mind you, I've been watching his stuff for quite some time. I'm a fan of his work, and I try to catch as many of his live streams as possible. And the fun part was that when I found out we were going to have a couple cancellations, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and give this a shot, because there have been people that said, hey, recommended RJ. They wanted to talk to him. I'm like, cool. I'm going to go ahead and do this. And so I sent him a message, kind of middle of the day yesterday. And I'm thinking to myself, I realize this is really late. This is really last minute. I wasn't really expecting a positive response, mainly because I knew it was last minute. So all of a sudden, I get a message, and he's like, I'm going to be doing this. He was talking about how he was making some shelves for his studio. And he goes, wait a second. No, what time? Oh yeah, I could do that. And so he's like, yeah, I would love to. And he also said, especially when it came to, helping out Give Kids the World. So, that is just really awesomely cool that, he responded to something like this last minute. And I'm sorry that it was last minute. As I said, I've wanted to have him on the show for quite some time. And I don't know if other podcasters, other shows have challenges bringing people on, but it takes a lot of time to actually try to coordinate and follow up and so on and so forth. It takes a lot of time to try to coordinate, especially coordinate schedules, because a lot of people are really busy. Tie in there also differences in time zones and stuff like that. It becomes something of a challenge. So we'll have to definitely have him back on for a more formal, longer lasting show. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Well, my order on Amazon has been confirmed. Hooray!
So Danny, speaking of confirmed, I'm going to hit my F5 button here.
I don't know what that button does.
It basically refreshes our screen, and we have raised $1,636. So I think that is like way cool.
Yeah, it's really phenomenal.
I'm looking through the names of people that are doing different things. Man, this is just cool. Everybody just being able to be so generous. Really, really super appreciated.
Let's give a shout out to some of those people. Nick and Heather, Christine, Albert, Michelle, the Indie Disney Meet, Lindsay, the Diz Dads podcast, Carol, Mike, Becky, Linda, Brad and Rose, Sandra, Enrique, Jennifer, Margie, Leslie, Anita, Prior Lakes, Steve, Mary, Chris, Maureen, Leanne, Heather, Amanda, Nancy, Jeffrey, Wendy, and Leanna. All together have hit 81% of our goal. We have raised $1,636. We have been live since exactly 10:47 this morning.
You know what my son did? Before my wife came up with corn dog nuggets, which really weren't like Casey's, and I didn't expect them to be like Casey's. My son came up. He's like, "Dad, you look hungry." So he brought me some raisins and some peanuts.
What a good kid.
I have trail mix. John had trail mix. Yeah, I don't have trail mix. The funny part about John is he went camping last night, and he also has to deal with being a part of a outdoor band concert today. So he was camping last night, came home, took a shower, changed clothes. Now he's going out and play his concert, and he's going to come back here, change clothes again, and then head back and finish his camp out. And so I won't see him again until tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon. So it's really it's pretty driven. So my son is pretty awesome. I brag about my son. I brag about my daughter. What can I tell you? The thing is, Danny, I'm out of ice, so this is kind of like watered down green tea.
Nothing wrong with that. Take some of the bite out of that.
Wait. Oh, special effects time.
Luke, I am your father.
Not quite that.
It's that time of day.